Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Kevin Walsh from Ninja Holistic Health and Fitness, and I'm doing an exercise tutorial today on how to properly execute the squat. Squatting is very important for all of us, regardless of whether or not we work out in the gym, because it allows us to do basic everyday tasks like getting in and out of the car and picking up objects off of the ground. So if you cannot perform this effectively and correctly, what's going to happen is eventually you get pain syndromes, particularly in the lower back and in the knees, and down the road also injury. And these things are inevitable if you don't pay attention to your form when you're doing things like squatting, and they're also very easy to prevent. So I'm going to give you the tools that you need right now to do the squat correctly and practice this on your own time so that you can mitigate those possibilities. The first thing when you're squatting is you want to make sure that your stance is correct. So the feet should be a little more than hip width apart and the toes pointed outward slightly at about 15 to 20 degrees. This right here is a really good foundation to start the movement from. Now, when you're going through the movement, there are 4 basic points that you always want to make sure are correct, that you have the right form with. The first one is the back of the head, the T-spine, the upper back, and the butt should all be in alignment with each other throughout the entire movement. And a good way to test this is to put a dowel rod up against those 3 points like this. And this is a lot easier if you have a partner to do it with you. And what you do is you go down in the squat, and as you go through the movement, try and touch those 3 points against the dowel throughout the duration of the squat while you're going up and down. And this ensures that you keep a neutral spine and also that you don't end up with hyperlordosis, which is an excessive curve in the lower back, and any kind of jutting of the chin like this, where your cervical spine is overactive. You want to keep the chin tucked. So that lines everything up very nicely. The second thing, you want the knees to track in the same direction of the toes when you go down. So when you're going down on the squat, as you can see, my knees are pointed right around 15 to 20 degrees, just like my toes are. And this enables you to get lower in the squat and also engages more of your glutes, your glute medius, as well as your glute maximus. Your glute medius is the side of your butt right here, which is responsible for abduction, getting the leg out. When your knees bow in like this is associated with pronation, and this is really bad. It's a very, very common faulty movement mechanic that a lot of people have, which leads to injuries that are very common. So keeping the knees out as you go into the squat, very, very important. Number 3, you want your torso and your lower leg to always be at the exact same angle as you're going down and coming up. So going into the squat, torso and lower leg, always you want to have them pointed in the same direction like this. And that's a very, very simple and effective way to make sure that your joints are stacked properly and that you keep your knees directly over top of your toes in the bottom of the squat so that they're not too far forward and they're not held too far back. And the last thing is the butt should be ideally lower than the knee height, the height of the knees when you're at the bottom. So when you're down here, when the butt is lower than the knees, it requires that you use more of the glute power and the hips to bring you back up top. And it's also much more functional. Human beings are designed to go a lot lower than we typically think. Most people squat with their thighs parallel to the ground, and that's about as deep as they go, or can go with their flexibility. But ideally, again, you want to get even lower than that. The lower the better. Work your way into that kind of a flexibility with time. If you can only get to 90 degrees now, that's okay. But as you improve and the squat gets better and better from practice, try get a little bit lower while maintaining those 3 points of alignment that I spoke about before with the spine. Now, with that said, the last thing is the breathing. You always want to make sure that you breathe correctly when you're going into any exercise, but especially the squat. So when you're going down, you want to exhale and then inhale as you come back up. And this is called anatomical breathing. This is coupled when you're doing the squat exercise with very light weight or just body weight. If you're doing it with heavier weight, if you're more athletically inclined and you have perhaps a big barbell on your shoulders or something like that, you would reverse the pattern of breathing. You would inhale first, go through the motion, come back up, and exhale at the very top. But for those who are just trying to tone the body and lose some weight, get general function back in their body, through the squat pattern, you just want to do anatomical breathing. Breathing out, going down, and breathing in as you come back up. So that's it. There you have it. good stance. And again, those 4 points of alignment so that you have them down pat, head, back, and butt lined up, knees tracking over the toes, torso and lower leg always on the same angle throughout the squat, and then finally the height of the hip lower than the knee if possible. And of course, make sure you breathe out when you go down, breathe in when you come up. And doing that enough times, you'll master the squat over perhaps a few months, and you'll definitely prevent a lot of potential injuries down the road. So that's my little nugget of wisdom for you today on how to do the squat. And for more information, you can go to my website, ninjahhf.com, and I have plenty of stuff on my blog and more videos coming soon as well. So thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys soon. Stay healthy.